Greetings and welcome back to Christian News and Views. This is episode 26 and I am Frederick Riddle, your host. I have two news items I want to cover today, and these happen to be on the same page. And so we're going to look at the president pardons his son first, and then we'll move on to Trump, Kash Patel to lead FBI. Those are the headlines. So let's get started here on the, let's see, I'll fold this up here. So I've outlined here a few things I want to cover. I'm not covering the entire article, just some highlights. And as a word of caution, this is an Associated Press, AP, article, and so you have to learn to read between the lines and stuff like that when you're reading their stuff. But it's somewhat straightforward. So let's start reading. President Joe Biden pardoned his son, Hunter, on Sunday night, sparing the younger Biden a possible prison sentence for federal felony gun and tax convictions and reversing his past promises not to use the extraordinary powers of the president for the benefit of his family members. The Democratic president had previously said he would not pardon his son or commute his sentence after his convictions in the two cases in Delaware and California. The move comes weeks before Hunter Biden was set to receive his punishment after his trial conviction in the gun case and guilty plea on tax charges, and less than 2 months before President-elect Donald Trump is set to return to the White House. Further on down, it says this. In a statement released Sunday evening, Biden said, "Today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter, alleging that the prosecution of his son was politically motivated and a miscarriage of justice." And here's what he said here. "I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision," Biden added, claiming he made the decision this weekend. And so he had spent Thanksgiving with his family, and included his son and his son's family. And so basically that is the news on this situation. Now, one of the powers given to the president is the power to pardon. So my opinion on this is shaped a little bit by a document that I found that explains in much greater detail what that is and what that power is. And I'm going to read it. I'm going to have to get closer because the reading is not the printing is not the best here on the computer. But it gives examples here of it, but just talk about the presidential power. The Constitution says this: the president shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. Now, before I get into the rest of this article, I will point out that this actually has existed since President George Washington, who used it to pardon the two men who were involved in the infamous Whiskey Rebellion, and that was in 1795. So it's been used numerous times. Bill Clinton, when he was president, he pardoned his brother. Trump pardoned a former Arizona sheriff, and so different times that this has been used. So it has a long history. Now, I'm going to read some of this in complete context, and then I'll further add on to my opinion. However, the details of the presidential pardon have been fleshed out through the courts and the legacy of former chief executives. Since the Constitution refers to offenses against the United States, the president's power to pardon is limited to federal offenses only. State governors have a similar authority to grant clemency. So that's another term. It's a broader term. The U.S. Supreme Court clarified presidential pardon power in an 1866 case. This one here was challenging the pardoning of a former Confederate soldier by President Andrew Johnson. In its opinion, the court stated that this power extends to every offense known to the law and may be exercised at any time after its commission, either before legal proceedings are taken or during their pendency, or after conviction and judgment. Presidents also may issue preemptive pardons, or rather a pardon for any crimes any individual may have committed or may have been charged with. For example, President Gerald Ford issued a pardon for outgoing President Richard Nixon, even though Nixon had not been charged with any federal crimes at that point. Additionally, the President may use this power to grant conditional pardons, such as serving a lesser sentence or commutations, or to grant returns of fines or forfeitures, and respites, that's delaying a sentence. As with pardons, commutations are another way a president may grant clemency for a convicted criminal. But unlike pardons, which formally forgive the individual of their crimes and restore what may have been lost through the conviction, such as voting rights or the right to own firearms, a commutation merely ends the individual's sentence. Can a president pardon himself? Now, here we go. Whether presidents may pardon themselves remains a subject of debate among legal scholars, although the Constitution clearly states they may not pardon in cases of impeachment. Still, it also doesn't say that presidents can't pardon themselves of federal crimes, although this particular gambit hasn't yet been attempted. However, applying for and receiving a pardon is itself seen as an admission of guilt. Now, I'll carry that a whole much further, but for a president to pardon themselves is almost like admitting guilt, and so that would be, if they value their place in history or anything like that, it would not be probably in their best interest, and it could lead to impeachment. Presidential pardons are rules and procedures. I'm not going to get into that a whole lot here. I don't think anything is, at this point in time, something that we have to be concerned with. So here's my opinion on that. And it's basically this, that it is a power the president has. And it's got the rules, as I've read them to you. And as long as they're operating within those rules, then I don't see a problem with it. President Biden has just as much right to pardon his son as anybody, any other president has. Family doesn't make the difference. What makes the difference is it's not himself. He might be able to pardon himself. So, like I said, that's debatable right now. I think the debate will come down basically, if they ever figure it out, will be that there's going to be some kind of restrictions or ifs, ands, or buts about it. But basically, he is within his rights to do this. And it's not only right for him, but Trump can also use the pardon and pardon people who he thinks has been unjustly judged. Now, the news media makes a big deal about this cast doubt upon the legal system. Well, probably yes. A lot of us have some questions about how our legal system has been working in recent years. Prior to Trump, You had 8 years of Democratic rule, and then you had, after Trump, you've had 4 more years of Democratic rule, and in both periods of time, questions has arisen about a weaponized Justice Department. Justice Department was never meant to be used as a weapon, a political weapon, and I think that needs to be examined. I don't think that personally, I'm speaking in my own opinion now. I don't believe that Trump should use the DOJ as an instrument of revenge, as the papers are inferring that he's going to do. Personally, I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to want to clean house. There's a swamp there, and it needs to be cleaned out. And if he does pardon anybody, then that will that the Justice Department has unjustly accused, or at least he believes has been, then he's perfectly within his rights to do that. Which brings up the other topic, where he has nominated Kash Patel to lead the FBI. Now, in this one, it says here, President-elect Donald Trump's announcement on Saturday night that he will nominate Kash Patel as FBI director sets the stage for a fresh round of turbulence at a law enforcement agency tasked with protecting the homeland and investigating federal crimes. Patel, a steadfast Trump ally with plans to shake up the institution he's been tapped to lead, is a study in contrast from the current tight-lipped director who preaches a keep calm and tackle hard mantra. Now, there's a thing here that's going on that will cause a little bit of thinking, and that is that the current FBI director is Christopher Wray, who was appointed director by Trump in 2017, and technically has 3 years left on his tenure. Say that several times in a row. 10-year tenure. So a tenure that lasts for 10 years. So they bring up questions here about whether he can be confirmed by the Senate. The Republicans have won control, but that doesn't assure his confirmation. There are Republicans with questions. He's likely to face skepticism during his confirmation hearings over his stated plans to rid the government of conspirators against Trump and his claims that he would shut down the FBI's Pennsylvania Avenue headquarters in the nation's capital and send the thousands of employees who work there to chase down criminals across the country. Now, what people say is important, but the truth of the matter is that those are not official statements. So he certainly has room to back those statements, go backwards on them, to walk them back. I'm not sure that I'm in favor of the idea of the FBI, being done away with. If they do away with it, I think they're going to have to raise something up to replace it, which can also become a problem. But I think that he has time he'll have access to look at records and see what's going on and be able to refine or maybe even redefine his opinions. And Trump has that same right. Trump has more experience in this than he does, having been president before. And so he has the right to fire the current one, although I don't know that anybody has accused him of doing anything wrong. However, the agency that he heads, there is a strong conviction that he has headed an agency that has been weaponized. And I have stated in the past uh, about, first of all, about the president should get his nominees. I'm, and I also have just stated here about the 3 years that Ray still has. It is still reasonable for the president to have the right to hire and fire as long as it's within constitutional law. But I am one who believes that the FBI and other agencies were weaponized by the Democrats. Now, uh, Christopher Wray is as the head of that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he was in agreement with that. When you work for the president, you do the president's will, and as long as his will was constitutional, or at least perceived to be constitutional, that comes in play here. So I guess what we have to look at, as far as it looks like President is going to fire him. He has access to the information. He knows what Ray is like. He hired him in the first place. But like I said before in a previous episode, he has learned a lot of lessons from that time. He appointed people who were technically talented, experienced, and all that, but not necessarily willing to work with him to follow the agenda that he had. And the president has the right, the people that he brings around to enforce his will, to advise him on things to do, they need to be people who he can trust and rely upon. And so I think that all comes into play here. So basically, I'm taking a wait and see attitude on this. Christopher Wray may actually submit he's not required to, I don't think, but he may actually submit his resignation, knowing that the president may be displeased with his performance. So we'll go see how this all works out. But I am willing to give the benefit of the doubt to the president. I even gave the benefit of the doubt to President Biden on different things, including what I just commented on his presidential pardon of his son. The president has certain powers. They're there for a reason. And I believe that unless there is not political reasons, I don't think that political reasons should have any say in any of this here. I think that this should be constitutional. This should be looked at from a point of view as, in this particular case, can the president and, for instance, and Christopher Wray work together? There seems to be a conflict there that we don't have all the facts about. So it may be that Trump doesn't feel that he can rely on and trust Christopher Wray. Then he has the right to fire him. It's a term you don't like to use, but that's what it comes down to. Now he apparently has confidence in Kash Patel. So unless there's something that's constitutionally wrong here, well, let me back up here a little bit here. Let's see. It's a fact of life. First of all, we need reform. I've already said that it was weaponized. And so that means I support reform. I would like to know more about the planned reform before I really weigh into this. And that's why I'm having a little bit of difficulty right now, because I'm trying to be down the middle right now, because I don't want to weigh one way or the other until I have more facts. But a fact of political life is that politicians do change their minds. And so I think that Patel, I'm going to consider him a politician, although he may not technically be one. But he has the opportunity to change his mind. Trump has the opportunity to change his mind as a fact of political life. They have the right to do that. So I think that we all should be taking a wait and see attitude before making judgments. Let's watch this and pay attention. As for the Senate, unless there are constitutional or criminal grounds for not nominating Kash Patel, then I stick with my original idea. I recommend the approval of the presidential nominee, which in this case is Kash Patel. It is simply, I think, the right way to go. Just because they approve him doesn't mean they don't have the right to review his actions, to call him up and say, you're invited to come and visit us and explain yourself on this or that issue. And it's the president can say, no, I don't want him to come, and use presidential powers to try to block it. But I think that's still one of those debatable things as to how far that power goes. But the Senate still has influence as to the governance of the president and of his appointees. So going ahead and approving them doesn't give that away at all. Doesn't surrender that away at all. So that is my opinion, for what it's worth. Now, chances are, I'll wait and see, and if Patel does things that I don't agree with, I will state so. But right now, I say approve him, and then wait and see how things fall out. Now, like I said, it looks like Christopher Wray is going to get fired. I don't see how President Trump can nominate somebody, put him before the Senate, and he's still got a sitting director. So I think he's going to fire Ray and then appoint Kash Patel. So that's where we stand right now. My vote right now is approve Kash Patel when it comes up. Unless there's some kind of constitutional or criminal issue at hand. Now, today is Cyber Monday. And I just want to point out, I don't normally talk about my business on this particular podcast, but it is Cyber Monday, and it is the end of my Black Friday 3-day sale, the last day. It went from 3 days to 5 days, as I extended it on Saturday. You still have time to save money. Simply go to trbookservices.com where the opportunity awaits. I probably put a link in the comment or in the my comments as associated with this episode. Well, outside of that, it's just I'm not going to go into all the things about the sale. This podcast is about Christian news and views, not about my sales. I just wanted to let you know that it's still out there. And if you like this channel, be sure to subscribe using the icon below. So that's it for today. I'll see you in tomorrow's episode, and see you then. You have a great day.